Game 71, Sheffield United versus Fulham on the 30th of March 2024. Titled, Nature Calls. Up with the lark on Saturday to drive up to London early as my wife had stayed at my son's overnight after going to see Marty Pello at Hammersmith. I was originally down to go as well, but hotel rooms, dog sitters and a lot of work saw me bail out. I hadn't slept much that night as Rocco wanders off from the foot of the bed needing to go out. Normally I don't hear this, so my wife goes down to let him out. So I get a fitful night's kip, checking him on the hour and every hour to see if he was still asleep. It is the Saturday before Easter Day and the day after Good Friday, and presently the roads are quiet and Rocco is in the back of the car. It is a reasonable journey in, no stress, and maybe it's because my wife isn't in the passenger seat driving the car for me. For about an hour and 45-minute drive, I'm not sure if I actually utter a word. I just sit and think. Not primarily about the forthcoming match, but more about life in general. Is this all it is? Eat, sleep, drink and work. Well, what else is there? Yes, not a good 105-minute drive for me. I pull up at my son's flat and my wife comes to greet me, and there's a little bit of car park rage. But by the time we speak, I'm right inside myself and not wanting to converse or anything. I've shut down. We wander off to a nice suburban London coffee bar where I have some sourdough toast and my wife has Eggs Benedict for the first time in her life. Yes, this was a little hipster coffee bar and it was rammed. I wasn't horrid, but I was quiet, and time takes its toll on the wandering mind. We trot back to my son's flat and he's up now and we spend some time together, but I still don't feel very conversationalist. What a knob. I'm under my mind's influence and just don't fancy chatting. Not a great start to preparing for a full match commentary this afternoon. Now a little agitated with myself, I try to get involved in the conversation and do so with limited success. Everything is a chore right now. Everything is a nuisance and everything is annoying. I head off to work and up to the 14th floor in the restaurant. It is open, but it's empty of any food. Not that this fat boy needs it. So I hope typing about my numbness of mind will help me get it out of my system. Sadly though, all it's done is made me realise what an arse I am. Into my head comes, "Oh happy days, oh happy days." I smiled briefly, sat on my own. I have been told I write as I speak. Now I am typing a conversation I am having with my head. I wonder if that's got a name. Madness? Madness? They call it madness. Well, this is rapidly becoming a written word association game. I now realise what is happening and I stare out at London from the 14th floor. A gentle breeze on a cool day bathed in spring sunshine. The clouds are white and fluffy and parting like the start of a Simpsons cartoon. And I have a latte. Does Sheffield United Fulham raise the pulse? No. But seeing the other commentators feels like it could be torture. Do I want to listen to stat-laden chat? Do I want to verbally joust with some sharp minds? Or do I want to curl up and sleep? That's just a nice way of saying die. I don't think I will miss much if I do, and therein could be a problem. Another sip of my latte before popping this little typewriter thing away and heading down to the studios. Remember, when the red light comes on, perform, little man, perform. Today's match does have the ingredients for being a good one. Sheffield United are getting close to the point of no return versus Marco Silva's attractive football-playing side Fulham. After recording the team news and then relaxing ahead of kick-off, the time arrives to open up the broadcast with... You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Sheffield United versus Fulham from Bramall Lane. I'm your host Andrew South and this is Premier League Live. Then on to the obligatory pre-match build-up of whose need is greater, who wants it more, and of course, their respective records, etc, etc, etc. Before a shrill peep of the whistle, and then you settle into calling the game. It is at the point in the game when you literally say what you see. So, this is the first half. It's goalless at the break here at Bramall Lane. Do join us for the second half. What a liar I am. It was turgid, boring, dour, chanceless. It simply was 45 minutes of nothingness. At the break, for us commentators, I couldn't stop saying to everyone and anyone who will listen that this was bordering on Palace Wolves of a couple of years ago when it was one shot, one goal and nothing else. I even think I overdid the disappointment I was feeling, laying it on far too thick. Well, it had the desired effect. As boring as the first half was, the second half was completely bonkers. 6 goals and drama by the bucket load, and Rodrigo Muniz scored an excellent scissor kick, more of which later. From a commentator's perspective, it became tough. Your commentary for the first 45 was at best a limp along 4 miles an hour in terms of pace. The second half swept me off my proverbial commentary feet at around 90 miles an hour, and as a commentator was possibly found wanting in trying to get up to speed. I got through it and did my considered report, took some stick for bemoaning how bad it was at the break from other commentators. I then considered my performance to be okay considering the opposites that were in force. You will see it in teams on the pitch. Those who can change their tempo during the games are often the best ones. So with some sort of balance, I feel being able to change gear during the match meant it was a reasonable performance by yours truly. The journey home was one of which, where I mulled over several things. My wife sat beside me, local sport, my own side's performance, looked at the reports posted on my match itself. Did I learn anything from today? Possibly not. Have I learned anything from previous? Yes. When my wife asked if we should visit the local hostelry, this time I lied with sincerity. And when we got home, we popped off down to the local pub. But the episode doesn't end with myself getting imbibed. The Thursday after, my phone pinged. "You were a tad excited," said the text. "It was Hilly, an old friend." "What?" I replied. He then replied, "Your commentary on Muni's goal was on TalkSport on Hawksby and Jacobs, sort of cock-up's piece of the week." "Oh," I replied, with a yes, it was a bonkers game. But I couldn't understand why. I couldn't recall a cock-up. Anyway, I had to find out what he was on about and finally found a section of the show and listened to it back. Remember, I called this episode Nature Calls. Well, get your minds out of the gutter now. The commentary was passionate and correct. It brought you the moment perfectly in terms of excitement, but, and there's always a but, at the climatic moment of the piece I coughed. Nature threw a tickle in during the straining of the vocal cords, leading to a momentary killing of a beautiful goal for a natural phenomenon. It is funny, but it is an unsolicited human instinct. One I can smile at, and one that I know I couldn't legislate for. Game 72, Liverpool vs Brighton on the 31st of March 2024. Titled Brighton, Canestan, Cream. It is the good old Gary Briggs studio today for the 300th match for Jurgen Klopp in charge of Liverpool. And in all honesty, I do like Liverpool under Klopp as a team, as they are everything you want from a side. Never just going through the motions, always trying for their fans even when they may be behind. And on the other hand, Roberto De Zerbi's side are decent, so it promises to be a good game. I arrive, as is my wont, in plenty of time. These teams almost write their own notes. Backstory isn't much. Liverpool still in with a shout in a 3-horse race for the title, and Brighton, who are really not the sort of side you want in front of you on a day like today. They can be a bit of an irritation. I may have said in previous episodes the difference between TV and radio commentary. How I feel the broadcast with no pictures means more exacting performance in terms of no dead air and building a picture, whilst assumption says that the majority of persons watching a game don't need such rapid-fire descriptive commentary as the pictures tell a story. You simply embellish the pictorial evidence. So, to a degree, prep for this match, full of household names, was pretty easy. The game will tell its own story. This, though, does lead to a little fallow mind time. I perused some interesting things I may not have gleaned ahead of this match in my pre-match prep, and ultimately, Jurgen Klopp's 300th game in charge is a story. I have a little chit-chat with the team abroad, and I'm reminded of an issue with my laptop. Now, I own several laptops and PCs, and this one I'm using today, and the one that I use for all these matches with this company, has got an issue that the lazy boy isn't doing anything about until it's too late in the day to do it. You know what I mean. I grabbed the laptop a couple of hours before the game only to realise and remember it has a swollen battery, which is getting worse. So much so, this laptop, which is basically clean, now has a mark appearing on the screen, and the mouse mat and the clicky bit is now temperamental. Oops. Better hope I can get through it tonight and deal with it tomorrow. I think that is my mantra in life, whilst everyone else's is don't put off today what you can do tomorrow. Mental mind games beset the Journeyman as he now ponders and wonders what could go wrong in the downtime he is experiencing. But luckily, with the team news due, I can move into work mode. One of the benefits of my football layout means I can see player battles or anticipated player duels ahead of kickoff. That is, if I write it down correctly. There are a few nervous moments for the Journeyman ahead of commentary duties, and like many other professionals on the pitch or in any other walk of life, you could just do with getting on with it. The game starts, and it is an exciting game in which Brighton play their part, and as early as the second minute when a sweet half volley from Danny Welbeck swept Brighton into an early lead. From that moment, Liverpool were behind. They just kept driving forward to get level. But every now and again, like an irritating yeast infection, Brighton kept flaring up into the match to make sure Liverpool didn't forget they were needed at both ends of the pitch. But like an almighty red wave, Liverpool kept on coming and finally got two back to win a very, very, very entertaining game. So Jurgen Klopp got his 300th win, and I cannot stress enough how much I believe every single football fan will want their side to play whatever division in the footballing pyramid, just like Liverpool. They gave their all to get back into the game. That is all any supporter wants from their side. But too often sides cannot find that head of steam, which is why it is so impressive and so envious to watch for the neutral. Just occasionally it doesn't feel like work, and I know many people will no doubt say it isn't work and I'd love to do the job. But, and I stress, like any passion that becomes a professional paid job, not every game is a joy. Some are hard work, some are easy, and this one was where the story unfolded beautifully. I packed up and left the studio clean and tidy, and on the drive home I passed the lights of confusion with no issues and arrived home where my wife had also watched the game and enjoyed my commentary on the app. I went upstairs and undid my work bag and placed my paperwork to do with the game on top of my journal, where I tried to keep all my football paperwork together for writing and recording these Journeyman episodes. After a while I look at the paperwork and think back to a chat with my old mucker Marco the cameraman, who gives me some home truths, and one of those was you place too much pressure on yourself by posting one of these episodes a week. You don't have to, but you do. He is right. He often is, including when he talks of target audiences and content. Now I realise sometimes it moves away from the football narrative, but there are a lot of journeys and a lot of games, so that is why I often drop into autobiographical anecdotal mode. It lets you all see a little of the Journeyman's actual mindset. After a few hours of gazing at many football layouts, I decide to head to bed. My wife and I chat whilst Rocco snores beside the bed before I head off into dreamland, where if it goes awry I can wake up myself and say, no, that was a dream. Now Canestan cream is good apparently at soothing irritating itches, and Jurgen Klopp had mastered the irritating itch that was Brighton. And that is why my wife spreads Canestan on me before I go to sleep every night, because obviously I'm an irritating little